All right, buckle up, everybody. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most daring raids of World War II,
Daring is an understatement.
Operation Chariot.
Yeah.
We'll be using excerpts from the History Fella channel on YouTube for this deep dive.
Great channel.
And let me tell you this story. Well, it's not just about bravery.
Right.
It's about a gamble.
Yeah.
It could have changed the entire course of World War II.
So Operation Chariot, what really gets me about it is it goes way beyond just brute force.
Mm-hmm.
The Allies,
Yeah.
they knew they couldn't just throw ships and men at the problem.
Yeah.
They had to find a vulnerability,
Yeah.
a specific weakness to exploit.
I see.
And that weakness, that was the St. Nazaire dry dock.
Okay, so the dry dock. Why was it such a big deal?
So think back to the aftermath of the Battle of the Denmark Strait.
Okay.
Bismarck,
Oh, yeah.
Germany's,
Yeah.
the mighty battleship
Yeah,
went
right.
down.
Yeah.
But her sister ship, the Tirpitz,
Mm-hmm.
still a threat. And guess what?
What?
St. Nazaire
Yeah.
was the only port on the entire Atlantic coast
Wow.
with a dry dock
Uh-huh.
big enough to handle the Tirpitz.
So, meaning if the Tirpitz needed like a pit stop, St. Nazaire was the only garage big enough.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And a fully operational Tirpitz, roaming the Atlantic,
Right.
that would have been devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Havoc on Allied shipping,
Yeah.
vital supplies to Britain potentially cut off.
I see.
Taking out the dry dock
Yeah.
was a way to neutralize that threat
Okay.
without having to actually engage the Tirpitz directly.
I see. So it's like cutting off the enemy's supply line instead of fighting them head on.
Yeah.
A classic example of asymmetric warfare.
Precisely.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, the British, they had to consider all their options.
Right.
Bombing, sabotage,
Yeah.
a full-on naval assault,
Okay.
But each of these options had serious drawbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Bombing, well, you risk heavy civilian casualties.
Right.
Sabotage,
Uh-huh.
they considered that too difficult given the scale of the target.
Yeah.
And a direct attack.
Yeah.
Practically suicidal.
Really?
Given the harbor defenses
I see.
and the location of the harbor itself, deep up the Loire estuary.
So what did they do? Seems like they were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
They had to get creative, think
yeah.
outside the box.
Yeah.
And they found their opportunity.
Uh-huh.
An unusually high spring tide
Right.
predicted for March 1942.
Okay.
Now, this tide,
Uh-huh.
this would allow them to bypass the heavily guarded main channel
Mm-hmm.
and get closer to the dry dock
I see.
using a shallower route.
Okay.
It was incredibly risky,
Right.
but also potentially brilliant.
Risky how? Like what could have gone wrong?
Well, for starters,
Yeah.
the tides, notoriously unpredictable.
Yeah.
The estuary was still heavily defended, obviously.
Right.
The Germans were constantly patrolling the area.
Uh-huh.
But,
Yeah.
the potential reward,
Right.
crippling the Tirpitz's only repair option on the Atlantic,
Yeah.
that was just too great to ignore.
That makes sense. So what was this creative solution? Did they send in scuba diving commandos with satchels of explosives?
Not quite.
Okay.
Their plan,
Yeah.
it centered around an old World War I era destroyer,
Okay.
the HMS Campbelltown.
Mm-hmm.
They packed her with explosives,
What?
disguised her to look like a German destroyer,
Really?
and planned to ram her straight into the dock gates.
Wow. That's like a Trojan horse, but on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, a suicide mission for the ship, but a chance for the commandos on board to do some serious damage.
Right.
And hopefully, escape.
The element of surprise was absolutely key.
Yeah.
Remember those specific title conditions?
Uh-huh.
Those would help, of course.
Yeah.
But they also had to trick the Germans,
Right.
make them think that they were one of their own.
I see.
So they
Yeah.
stripped down the Campbelltown,
Uh-huh.
gave her a German-style paint job,
Wow.
even practiced using captured German signals to further the deception.
It's amazing. So it wasn't just about blowing stuff up. It was this carefully orchestrated deception operation as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
alongside the Campbelltown,
Yeah.
they assembled a whole flotilla of smaller boats,
Mm-hmm.
motor launches,
Mm-hmm.
a motor gunboat,
Okay.
even a torpedo boat.
Wow.
Each vessel had a specific role to play,
Right.
ferrying the commandos,
Uh-huh.
launching torpedo attacks as a diversion.
So a coordinated attack.
Exactly.
Okay. And who are these commandos? Elite troops, I imagine.
The best of the best,
Right.
divided into 3 groups,
Okay.
each with specialized training
Yeah.
and objectives.
Right.
One group
Uh-huh.
tasked with securing the Old Mole.
Okay.
Think of it like a long pier.
Yeah.
It would be their primary evacuation point.
Makes sense.
Another group
Uh-huh.
focused on the old entrance to the basin, disabled tugboats, plant explosives, that sort of thing.
So each group had their own piece of the puzzle to solve.
Exactly.
What about air support? Any plans for the RAF to kind of soften up the defenses?
Yes.
Okay.
The RAF was scheduled to conduct bombing raids
Right.
as a diversion.
Yeah.
The goal was to draw German attention away from the estuary,
Uh-huh.
create confusion.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
as with any military operation,
Right.
things didn't exactly go according to plan.
Uh-oh. That sounds ominous. What happened? Did the RAF miss their targets or something?
Well, that's where we'll pick up next time.
Okay.
Let's just say the journey into the lion's den.
Mm-hmm.
It had its fair share of unexpected twists and turns.
All right. Looking forward to it. See you next time.
See you then. Welcome back. Last time we left off, the raiding force was sailing towards St. Nazaire under the cover of darkness. They had disguised their ships, meticulously planned their attack, and were hoping to pull off the impossible.
They were walking a tightrope, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
One wrong move and
Poof. The whole operation could have unraveled.
And early on, they ran into a dilemma.
Oh.
They encountered French fishing trawlers
Mm-hmm.
right in their path.
Okay.
Now, the British were under strict orders.
Right.
Minimize civilian casualties.
Good words.
So they had to make a tough decision.
Yeah. What did they do?
Well, they brought the fishermen aboard their ships
Oh, wow.
and scuttled the trawlers.
Really?
To prevent them from potentially alerting the Germans.
So they basically had to,
Oh. Yeah, eliminate any loose ends.
wow. That makes sense, but I bet it just added to the tension,
Oh, yes.
knowing that any delay could jeopardize the mission.
The clock was ticking.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
they had another close call.
Oh, wow.
5 German torpedo boats.
What?
They spotted them.
Oh, no.
Fortunately, they managed to evade them.
Okay.
But it was a stark reminder of the danger they were in.
I bet. Talk about a close shave.
Yeah.
And what about those RAF bombing raids?
You mentioned they didn't go exactly as planned.
Yeah. Bad weather hampered the RAF's efforts.
Okay.
Only a handful of bombers actually reached their targets.
Hmm.
Ironically,
Yeah.
this might have actually played in the raiders' favor.
How so?
Well, the sporadic bombing,
Uh-huh.
combined with the unusual tactic
Uh-huh.
of dropping bombs, like one at a time,
Really?
it created confusion among the Germans.
I see.
They suspected a parachute landing might be underway
Wow.
and actually ordered their guns and searchlights to stand down
Really?
for a while.
Wow. So it's like the weather itself was kind of conspiring to help them?
Almost like a stroke of luck.
Yeah.
But their luck wouldn't hold forever.
Right.
As they approached the mouth of the Loire estuary,
Uh-huh.
they were suddenly caught in the beams of German searchlights.
Oh, no.
The element of surprise,
Yeah. Yeah.
gone.
That's a nightmare scenario.
It was a critical moment.
So what did they do?
This is where their preparation
Yeah.
and quick thinking really paid off.
Okay.
Remember those captured German signals?
Uh-huh.
They used them
Oh, wow.
to bluff their way past that initial challenge.
So they pretended to be a German ship.
Yeah, basically.
That's incredibly audacious.
It was high-stakes gamble.
Right.
And it almost worked.
Really?
They got within a mile of the dock gates
Wow.
before the Germans realized they'd been tricked.
Oh.
At that point, the British had no choice.
Right.
They hoisted their white ensign,
Yeah.
their naval flag,
Uh-huh.
and engaged the enemy.
So the jig was up.
Yeah, the moment of truth had arrived.
Yeah. Must have been absolute chaos.
It was a furious firefight.
Wow.
The Campbelltown,
Yeah.
despite taking several hits,
Okay.
continued to press forward.
Uh-huh.
Lieutenant Commander Beatty,
Yeah.
the ship's captain,
Right.
he was determined
Yeah.
to ram those dock gates.
Knowing that his ship,
Yeah.
likely himself, wouldn't survive.
He understood the importance of his mission,
Wow, that's incredible.
and he succeeded, ramming the gates with such force
Uh-huh.
that the Campbelltown was embedded 33 feet into the structure.
Wow. So the Trojan horse had breached the walls, so to speak.
You could say that.
What happened next?
The commandos sprang into action.
Right.
They had a limited amount of time
Yeah.
to complete their objectives
Uh-huh.
before the explosives on the Campbelltown detonated.
Okay.
One group secured the old mole.
Right. Their planned evacuation point?
Exactly.
Okay.
Another group attacked the old entrance to the basin,
Mm-hmm.
disabling tugboats,
Yeah.
planting explosives.
And the third group, the demolition experts.
They faced the fiercest resistance.
Really?
Their mission
Yeah.
to cripple the dry docks machinery,
Uh-huh.
and the Germans were determined to protect it.
Makes sense.
It was brutal,
Yeah.
close quarters battle,
Oh.
but the commandos fought with incredible bravery.
I mean, just imagine,
Yeah,
facing overwhelming odds
right.
deep inside enemy territory. It's hard to even imagine the courage that would take.
It's remarkable.
Yeah. Were there any, individual acts of heroism?
Oh, many.
Okay.
But one that stands out.
Yeah.
The story of Captain Donald Roy.
Okay.
He led a kilted Scottish commando unit.
Wait, kilted commandos?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They scaled pump houses
Really?
to take out German gun emplacement.
It's a striking image.
It is.
Yeah.
Speaks to the ferocity determination of these men.
Right.
Another remarkable story.
Okay.
Sergeant Thomas Durant.
Yeah.
He manned a machine gun
Uh-huh.
on a burning motor launch,
What?
holding off a German torpedo boat.
Wow.
Single-handedly,
Really?
until he was mortally wounded.
Oh. It's incredible. It
Yeah.
makes you realize that
Right.
behind the grand strategy and
Yeah.
his daring plans, there were individuals who just displayed extraordinary bravery
Absolutely.
and made the ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
But, as they were fighting,
Yeah.
the clock was ticking. How much time did they have left?
Not much.
Okay.
And to make matters worse,
Oh.
the motor launches
Yeah.
intended to evacuate the commandos.
Right.
They were being decimated by German fire.
Oh.
Escape by sea,
Yeah.
becoming impossible for many of them.
So they were trapped,
Yeah, essentially.
surrounded by enemy forces.
Right.
Their escape route cut off.
Yeah.
That's
It
terrifying.
was a desperate fight for survival,
Yeah.
and that's where we'll pick up next time
Okay.
as we explore the climax of this extraordinary raid
Right.
and its lasting impact on the war.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Operation Chariot. Last we left off, the commandos were in a pretty dire situation, trapped in St. Nazaire. Their escape route by sea, well, it was cut off. What happened next? Did they just surrender?
Surrender. No, not these guys. Lieutenant Colonel Newman, he was the commando leader, decided to take a gamble.
Okay.
He rallied his men
Yeah.
for a desperate breakout attempt,
Real.
hoping to fight their way through the town and reach the countryside.
Wow, that sounds like a real long shot. I mean, outnumbered?
Yeah, gun.
Outgunned deep inside enemy territory.
Right.
What were the chances of them actually pulling that off?
Slim, to say the least.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
these guys were highly trained, incredibly determined.
Right.
They actually inflicted quite a few casualties on the Germans
Wow.
as they fought their way through the town,
Yeah.
demonstrating real tenacity, even in the face of almost certain defeat.
It must have been chaotic, like a real street fight.
You can imagine.
Yeah.
Did any of them manage to escape?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Some did, yeah.
Okay.
In the initial confusion,
Right.
but most were eventually pinned down
Uh-huh.
and, with their ammunition dwindling,
Yeah.
forced to surrender. It was a valiant effort, though.
Yeah, it really does sound like it. Tragic end for so many of these brave men.
It is.
Out of the 612 who participated in the raid,
Yeah.
how many actually made it back to Britain?
The final count was pretty grim.
Yeah.
169 killed in action.
Wow.
215 became prisoners of war.
And the rest.
Only 228 managed to return home.
It's a heavy price to pay.
It is.
A stark reminder of the human cost of war.
Absolute.
Really makes you appreciate the courage it took to volunteer for a mission like that,
For sure.
knowing the risks involved.
Yeah. But what about their primary objective?
Right.
What happened to the Campbelltown?
So the Campbelltown's explosives, they detonated at noon the following day.
March 28th,
Right, March 28th.
causing immense devastation.
Yeah.
I mean, the force of the blast,
Huh.
it ripped through the entire dock area,
Wow.
sending a massive wall of water and debris into the air.
It's hard to even imagine.
It's far more powerful than the Germans anticipated.
What about those Germans that were inspecting the ship?
Oh, yeah. Tragically, a group of German officers and civilians were actually touring the Campbelltown at the time,
Really?
believing it to be a captured prize.
Right.
They were caught in the blast.
Oh, no.
Over 360 of them perished.
That's awful. A real sobering reminder that
Yeah.
even in the midst of calculated military operations, there are often unintended consequences.
Absolutely.
But the destruction didn't end there, did it?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
Remember those torpedoes launched by MTB-74?
Uh-huh.
They were set on a delayed fuse,
Okay.
and 2 days later,
Yeah.
they detonated
Right.
at the old entrance to the basin,
Oh, wow.
wreaking havoc and just adding to the confusion.
The Germans must have been in a state of panic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On edge, jumpy, suspicious of everyone.
Right.
There were even instances of them firing on their own workers,
Really?
disdating them for British commandos.
Wow. So beyond the immediate damage,
Yeah.
Operation Chariot
Mm-hmm.
really had this like ripple effect.
Psychological impact,
Yeah.
disrupting German operations and morale. Absolutely.
Looking at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
did they achieve their main strategic goal?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
The St. Nazaire dry dock,
Yeah.
utterly destroyed, remained out of commission for the rest of the war.
Meaning the Tirpitz couldn't use it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Major blow to German naval capabilities.
Uh-huh.
The Tirpitz was forced to remain in Norwegian waters,
Okay.
limiting its threat to Allied shipping.
So really, Operation Chariot, although costly,
Right.
played a crucial role in securing the Atlantic,
It did.
ensuring the flow of vital supplies to Britain.
It's a remarkable story.
It is.
Bravery, ingenuity, sacrifice.
Yeah, a real testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome,
Yeah.
seemingly insurmountable challenges.
And it wasn't just about the strategic outcome either.
Right.
The bravery of the men who participated in the raid.
Uh-huh.
It was widely recognized.
Yeah.
89 decorations were awarded,
Wow, that's a lot.
including 5 Victoria Crosses.
5 Victoria Crosses.
Yeah.
The highest military honor for valor in the face of the enemy.
That's right.
5 from a single operation. That's incredible.
It is.
Who were the recipients?
Well, Lieutenant Commander Beatty,
The captain.
the captain of the Campbelltown,
Right.
he received one posthumously
Okay.
for his courageous leadership.
Right.
Lieutenant Colonel Nimitz, the commando leader, also received a Victoria Cross
Okay.
for his, gallantry and determination.
Yeah.
The other recipients were Commander Ryder, Sergeant Durant, and Able Seaman Savage,
Mm-hmm.
each of whom displayed, extraordinary courage in the face of overwhelming odds.
It's amazing.
Their stories are a real reminder that
Yeah.
even in the darkest of times,
Yeah.
individual acts of heroism can shine through.
Operation Chariot is a story that deserves to be remembered, not just for its military significance, but for the human drama that unfolded on that fateful night. It's a reminder that behind every grand strategy and daring mission, there are individuals who display incredible courage and sacrifice. What does this deep dive leave you thinking about? How did this audacious raid demonstrate the power of ingenuity and adaptability in warfare? And what other examples from history showcase similar feats of daring and commitment? These are questions worth pondering as you continue to explore the fascinating world of World War II.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep questioning, and keep learning.